Good morning, Barry and Sarah. Well, those people are lucky to say they're alive. Behind me is that lowly alleyway where 55 of those people sat there, not sure what would happen next for their lives, but lucky enough to say that they are alive. Now, they were stopped here last night around 8 o'clock on Laurelhurst, and SAFD, the fire department, actually came out here to assist the police department in this truck stop. Now, whether those people inside are immigrants, we're not sure just yet, and where they were going, police are still trying to figure that out. But for some people, it might bring back memories of that hot 18-wheeler from last year, smuggling immigrants where almost a dozen of them died. San Antonio Fire Department Chief Charles Hood said, though, that this case isn't the same since no one suffered dehydration, heat stroke, or died. Take a listen.
This truck was air conditioned, thank God. This truck had water, so they were hydrated, they were cool, they were hungry. So we ended up feeding them. We've evaluated each and every patient, and so we're transporting 5. The rest will be taken to a detention center, a detainee center.
Now, Chief says they got those injuries when they either fell from the truck or tried to run away from the scene once that truck was stopped. Now, as for those other 50 people, they were evaluated and taken to a detainee center, like he said. As far as what will happen next with them, that's yet to be seen. But Sarah and Barra, both of these people are lucky. All of these people are lucky to say they're alive this morning. Back to you.
Thank you, Charlie.